Hello everyone. Today in this video I'm going to be discussing the divine arts, the art of tarot, astrology, numerology, um, and different divination arts that man had connected with and was able to extract wisdom, commonly used today as a form of fortune telling and predicting the future. Well, these arts can help us do such things, but the original work with these arts are not for this purpose. Well, so many people use such arts or such knowledge to feel that they don't have even a will. They are always up to date with their horoscope reading. They have a YouTuber or an artist that they subscribe to who's following up with all that stuff, and they go from one reading to another. And those people miss the point. Also, you have people who wait for New Year's and then they listen to certain people also talking about the fortune, about their year, how would that be, etc. And many people pay a lot of money for that stuff, predicting the future and all that stuff. Now, my view on that is, of course, there's certain truth to it. Do I support it? I don't actually support it entirely because it is it leaves a space for the individual to feel powerless and dependent on that external thing. Although many of these readers will tell you, no, this is not why I do it, blah blah blah, but that's what they're doing because they do not understand the purpose of this art. This art is unique, like astrology, for example, or tarot. These arts are very unique in a way that they originated from within the individual. We created these arts, okay? We created them. And the mean of creating them was instilled by this intrinsic thing that is within us. Like for example, Carl Jung, when he came up with the archetypes, right? It took him a lot of studying to create the 12 different archetypes. Some people argue that there are 13. So when we created these arts like astrology or the tarot, we created them from within us and we had a meaning representing them, right? But to turn out a blind eye about the meaning that came from within and just using them for the sake of fortune telling and predicting the future is not how it's meant to be used. The original way of using it is to work with these arts. Just like there's a book, for example, that we read and we try to study, work with, the same thing with these arts. They are actually mirrors. Um, we are able to look at these arts and reflect upon ourselves and see the parts that we have to improve, parts that we have to work on. Um, but in terms of the astrology, because many people, especially religious people, do not believe in that, the scientific take on astrology and why it works is very simple and very basic, that you can explain it to an 8-year-old. Um, Basically, we all know that the moon, for example, affects the human body, right? This is a well known fact. Um, if there's a full moon, people have more tendency to be aggressive, to be rebellious, um, and a lot of crimes can happen at that time, especially if the moon is red. So these are facts, right? Also, if you want to take it further, of course, the moon also affects the menstrual cycle for women. Um, like during the moon cycle, um, women will have the same um, menstruation. So 30 days, 30 days. So there's a lot of connection between the moon and um, the female cycle, and also more specifically, to go a layer deeper than that, it's the connection between the moon and the water and the emotion, right? That's why, like, when there's full moon, there's a lot of emotions coming up. There's a connection between the moon and the water. We see that when there's tiles, water tiles, right? The water comes in and then goes out. So the moon affects the water element a lot, and the water element in alchemy represents the emotion as well. So our emotions are affected as well by the moon. And from that place, that's where alchemists, astronomers, um, people who are interested in the occult, which is the hidden knowledge, they started s- collecting these information and creating a science. And that happened thousands of years. Like, there's also facts that the Egyptians used to track the stars, etc. Right? So it's very ancient art. So we definitely started tracking them, and we created these correspondences or relations between the physical objects in the sky and our psychology and life. The same thing happens with the sun, um, the four seasons, how it affects growth. Um, it's the light of the world, brings warmth, etc. Um, so we got influenced a lot by the sun and the moon. They have a specific frequency that affects us. Like, for example, the sun affects our circadian rhythm, right? The same thing, if you want to look at the moon and the sun, the same thing happens with the zodiac signs and the higher constellations, like the planets, um, the signs, etc. So those as well have specific frequencies that have been here with us since thousands, billions, whatever amount of time uh, this whole thing started, which we don't really know, but it's been there since the beginning of time, right? So these frequencies have been affecting Earth and affecting the human consciousness for so long. So the planets, the zodiac signs, have a memory in us, in our genetics, in our epigenetics. So that's why they basically affect us. Now, for every person, it affects them differently, because at the moment of birth, um, that's when we are basically transitioning. We are coming from the spiritual realm and coming to this solar realm, and we're now on a mission to be preparing ourselves to start engaging in the world, right? So it's a huge spiritual transition during birth. And in that moment, of course, we can talk for days how the child would experience a lot of fear, a lot of emotions. The child will be very sensitive at that moment during birth. So during that moment, there is a specific alignment or the specific pattern in the sky, or these frequency um, balls or energy fields are going to affect the child in a specific way. And that's why the child will basically have this specific sign or um, specific natal chart, right? And it can basically influence, of course, the personality, because that's when the child was born. That's when the child was raised for the first 5 days, 7 days of his life. Um, the energy around him, all that affected him. Not only the stars and the planets, right? There's a lot of influences, including, of course, the family members, especially the mother, the father, the siblings, right? But also the astrology, the planet and the alignment of the heavens, how, in like what constellation was the strongest, or what planet was more influential than the other, or in what position. So all these leave a lot of variations for that child or newborn. So that's why scientifically it can affect us. Now that memory, as the child is growing, will create a lot of fears, a lot of negative stuff and positive stuff, depending on how the child deals with these energies, work with these energies. Now the important thing is, many people from different religions accept that a specific horoscope. Like, for example, I was born under the sign of Virgo, so, what are you? I'm Virgo. This is very common. Many people say that I'm Virgo. In reality, they're not Virgo, or they are an accumulation of so many stuff, so many planets. So to just think that you are Virgo, and then, for example, and you have to follow the characteristics, or that's your personality, you're actually playing a victim, and you're not opening up for the vastness of the universe. Because in reality, it's the inner zodiac, which Michael Tussarion, someone that I'm studying with and reading his books, talks about. It's the inner zodiac that brings the wisdom. It's not the external conditions that dictates our life. So to just believe in astrology from a perspective of which sign you were born into is very limited, and it opens up the room for error and victim mentality, etc. And it's not a good way to deal with it. But the original template, original way to deal with it, is to realize that these frequencies, I'm dealing with them on a daily basis. It's not only Virgo, it's all the other frequencies, especially if we want to study them and work with them. Now, to work with them is basically not devilish or demonic, it's not something bad. It's basically just a organized frequency. Like, for example, Virgo has a specific characteristic, Libra has a specific characteristic, Leo has a specific characteristic. Now, for an individual, seeing all these characteristics, now can look at one of these and reflect upon himself, right? Just like if we are talking to a specific individual, if that individual, for example, has a specific characteristic, the individual will start letting out certain things in us. We will be able to start seeing ourselves in a different way. They will start pointing us in a specific direction, highlighting certain things. So we need that relative point. We need that reference to be able to reflect upon our life. And that's what astrology numerology and tarot are originally there to help us do, is to organize our life and have an action plan in terms of how we can reflect um, and extract certain wisdom and truth. Now there's several ways to be able to use these arts, right? We can go with just basically looking at the sign of Libra, for example, or Virgo, um, or Leo, and then seeing the characteristics that we are missing, or the positive things that we want to embrace, right? It can be as simple as that, or it can be more artistic, um, tracking the natal chart. So when we were born, there's an exact pattern in the sky that was there. So we can work with that. It's a more detailed and a more detailed approach. So so that's it. It's just it. It's not demonic. It's not devilish. It's just occult knowledge. It's a knowledge that is misunderstood in society and is made evil by people who do not understand it. Yet you see within these communities, they use it. They use it secretly or unknowingly. They just know their horoscope, and that goes into their unconscious. And of course, at certain point in their life, they did know what characteristics they have, etc. And that can affect them. So it can be used for good or bad. But to use it for a good purpose is to be aware of this art, to be aware of the science. It's a science. And to use it as a mirror. That's the key. To use it as a mirror, not as a predictive thing. Although we can use it as a predictive thing, but it removes the essence of it. It removes the significance of it. The tarot, for example, is an amazing art as well. Each card help us reflect upon ourselves, because there's a path of the fool that also my teacher Michael Tessarian talks about in the path of the fool. So yeah, these arts are not bad. There are tools. They are tools to work with. And because we didn't have these tools in the past, now it's time for us to, not in the past, like growing up, we weren't presented these tools. If we were presented these tools at school, we were taught genuinely how to reflect upon these tools, then a lot of the problems that we're facing will not be there. We will have more knowledge about ourselves. We will have more knowledge about the universe. Our relationships will be great. Our relationship with ourselves will be great. Our self-esteem will be great. Our career path will be very clear. What we really want to do in life will be very, very clear. So these things are very important, and just because we haven't tapped into them is why they are a cult. Okay, that's why they are called a cult, because it's only for the seeker to seek them. Because sadly enough as well, society today is not, or the whole global interest is not working for the individual, is working for specific groups of people to maintain their power and greed. They don't want the individual to be empowered, especially with a divine right. So this is it for this video. I will be making more on the topic. Let me know your thoughts in the comment, and yeah, see you soon.